Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa. So, let's talk about Overwatch elitism, or even just elitism in games in general, because I have noticed a couple of comments that were left on the video I made last week where I discussed the beta weekend, because it was a stress test weekend and I called it the stressful weekend, because in that video I went over feedback that people were providing and I was correcting them and saying, no, that's wrong, this is wrong, you're wrong, listen to me. And I get how that sounded. Well, it sounded pretty condescending, pretty like I'm standing on top of this, I'm on my high horse, you listen to me, I've played the game for loads of hours, you're a nobody, you listen to me. I didn't want it to come off like that, but it kind of did in a few ways. But I thought this would be an interesting discussion, because elitism in games in general, especially games with ranking systems, so look at StarCraft 2, look at CSGO, look at Dota, look at League, all these games have got ranking systems, or even, I guess, Hearthstone as well, it can be thrown into that. If a player is in a higher division than you, there is a tendency for them to maybe preach to the players below and say, hey, that's what you should be doing, and you should be doing it because I say you should be doing it. I'm in a higher league than you, so you will listen to me. Now, some of the points, I think what got me so, not enraged, but what got me to the point of actually producing that video last week was I was seeing a lot of, again, I don't mean this offensively, but noobish feedback. Overwatch, it might seem simple on the face of it, but it's actually quite a complex game when you look at all the way the heroes interact with each other and different combinations of heroes against other combinations of heroes on different maps and all of that stuff. To me, it's not offensive when I see people making these comments, but I felt like I had to correct them. Although the way I did it wasn't really the best. So let's look at Bastion, right? A great example of this character. Blizzard have said, we are going to change this character. They said this before the stress test weekend came out. Then I seen a torrent of feedback on the official forums, on Reddit, and everywhere else where you can give feedback, with people going, oh my god, Bastion is too powerful, it's killing the team, you know, it's totally ridiculous. When I know Bastion's not OP, because I've played the game for, you know, hundreds of hours. Blizzard know he's not OP. Blizzard know he's crap. Because what happens with Bastion, and this is just from my experience, Bastion is okay for newer players to play because you get a real sense of a lot of power. It's the same for Reaper as well. And even kind of Tracer maybe to some degree. But you can feel really powerful because you're killing a lot of the enemy team. Because the enemy team don't really know what to do. They don't really know how to play their heroes. They don't know the complex interactions between heroes and all of that. And how synergy works and God knows what. Or even, dare I say, the meta of the game that's developing at the moment, even in the closed beta stages. So when I see them moaning about Bastion, I'm like, well, Bastion isn't OP. So I tried to say, look, Bastion's not OP, but the way it came across is, I'm just telling you he's not OP. You'll listen to me because I'm the big man with all the experience, so go away. That's not right. And this got me thinking that this would be actually quite a good discussion to just talk about elitism in games, but obviously specifically in Overwatch and how this is going to develop, because you do have... I mean, recently I seen this whole thing, it was on Reddit, there was a post about, there's already pro players for Overwatch, how can this be? Now, how can there be pro players, or people who proclaim to be pro players in a game that isn't even finished? It's not even feature complete. So what's going on there? Well, to answer this question, Blizzard have been given access to esports teams, so there are high skill players there. There are a lot of, as we know, ex-Team Fortress 2 players, and this is, you know, their skill set will apply to Overwatch, so they're obviously very good at the game. I look at myself and compare myself to those guys. I'm not as good as those guys, but I'm good at FPS games, so I know that if I play an FPS game for a considerable amount of time and focus on it, I will get fairly good at it. Now, this isn't me just saying, I'm great, you're worse, listen to me. It's not, because Overwatch isn't a traditional FPS game. There are players and characters, well, there are characters players can use that don't necessarily completely rely on your Twitch ability to aim. So Kiri's always the example I give of this. Kiri, in my eyes, could easily be a top tier Reinhardt or Roadhog or something like that. But he's never going to be a top tier McCree or anybody else who requires accuracy like Widowmaker or Hanzo. He cannot aim for shit. But he's still effective in this game, because this is not a game about one guy. It's not a game about a guy who is, I'm going to win the game for my team. It's about how the team works together. But anyway, going back to my original point about all this elitism stuff, it did come out in that video I made, and I didn't want it to come out because I don't think I'm elitist. I'd like to think that I'm, if somebody asked me for advice, I'd give them advice. If I was in a position that was higher than them, I would give them advice. I wouldn't cut them out and say, I'm not talking to you, you're below me, because that's just dickhead behaviour. So, why did this happen? Well, Overwatch is, you can understand the heroes fairly quick. They're designed to be picked up quick. Okay, they're not overly complex. Some of them might be a little bit more difficult to understand, like Zyra, or Zaya. I can never say her name. The Russian, Zyra. She is fairly complicated because her shields absorb incoming damage, and that increases her damage in turn, and it can make her very, very potent, but only in short bursts, and it's hard to kind of gauge that. In fact, actually, a very good, actually, a very, very good thing which I can say to highlight what I'm trying to... Right, hang on, guys, hang on. So, elitism, right? Last week, I'm telling you that Bastion is not OP and he's crap, which is true. Same for Torbjorn, which is true. But I'm also telling you as well, Genji is OP. In the other video, me and Kiri made together, where we spoke about all of the heroes and gave our thoughts on them after 100 hours. Now, remember, Genji hadn't been out for 100 hours. Genji, well, hadn't been out for most of the closed beta. It only came out after BlizzCon. So, in fact, it's whatever. We had more experience with the other heroes. That's what I'm trying to say. I said he needs to be changed. I said he needs the bleed effect removing off his dash, which Blizzard actually did, right? But even so, that's kind of the only thing they did to Genji. And he's still Genji. He's still, deflecting all the projectiles. And I said I would like it if the projectiles were reflected and not sent back to the target. But here's the thing. I don't think Genji's OP anymore. In fact, I think Genji's easily dealable. Dealable? What? Easily counterable. You see what I mean? You see how it changes so quick? But I think that's just coming from experience. Like, I know now, if I play Zyra, I will kill him. If I play Winston, I will kill him. If I play, even McCree, to be honest, I can kill him. Because I can predict when he's going... Like, a lot of the time, Genji will come around the corner, and as soon as he sees you, he'll probably put up his block. Well, while his block's up, he can't attack you. You just wait, and then you chuck your flashbang at him and kill him. Easily counterable. So there are a lot of ways you can deal with these guys. And... initially, it's not apparent. So when somebody comes into the game for the first time and then met with 21 heroes and it's like, holy mother of God, Tracer is killing all of our team. I hate Tracer. She's so OP. This can't be real. But it's probably because you don't have anybody who can deal with Tracer. Soldier 76 deals with Tracer. McCree completely annihilates Tracer. If you don't have them on your team, then it's going to be more difficult. That's just how Overwatch is. And it's really interesting to me to see how even it's changing the way that like, just through me playing the game, it's changing the way I see the game. And things which are OP then become un-OP. Also, just as I'm in the middle of this video, I'd like to address somebody who said... There was a comment which said... it was off a guy called Pol Potter? Isn't that a dictator? Yeah, I think it is. He said, I somehow expected something more than 19 minutes of a long defense speech of Overwatch. I can usually appreciate your criticism on the industry, but when it comes to Overwatch or Blizzard in general, it suddenly becomes a matter of showering praise without question. That's not entirely true. If you go back and look through the channel, you'll see us trash major WoW expansions, trash Blizzard's practices, trash their approach to esports, trash like all kinds of stuff. We're not a Blizzard fanboy channel, because you know what makes us different to a lot of other channels? We're not built on Blizzard games. We are not a channel that came into existence based on World of Warcraft or based on some other Blizzard game. So I don't hold any kind of... Blizzard are just a game developer to me. And if you want to talk about Blizzard as well, Blizzard never really innovate. Blizzard just takes something and kind of put their Blizzard spin on it, which is to make sure the gameplay is interesting and then kind of go from there. I'm not a fan of Hearthstone, so you don't see me showering plays on that. I don't know, guys. I just wanted to cover that, because sometimes it is a bit annoying when you see comments like that. It's like, well, no. I'm not a Blizzard fanboy. I enjoy games. In fact, I'm not really a fanboy of any developer, apart from Westwood. They're amazing. Of any developer in I'm just not. I appreciate games for what they are, and it might be again preaching to the choir, and I'm just sort of saying, look, guys, Overwatch is a great game. It really is a great game. The gameplay is fantastic, and that's why I keep going back and playing it. I'm not even burnt out on the game, which I find pretty amazing, because the game's been out for some time. But anyway, jumping back to the discussion on this elitism thing, we're going to see this develop. So this community it's at a point right now where you've got, I don't know what the figures are, people who've got access. Let's just say 1,000 people have access right now. It's probably less, maybe it's more, I don't know. So in this batch, you've got streamers, you've got YouTubers, you've got pro players, and then you've got the general public, yeah? How they're distributed, I don't know. It's probably more of the public, to be honest, than other people. I should be seeing Overwatch videos on every bloody YouTube channel and all of that stuff. But anyway, moving on. So what you've got there is a group of people who are from the broad spectrum. You've got very good players, you've got mediocre players, and then you've got lower skill players. It's easier for a medium level player to appear much better in the Overwatch closed beta because they're playing against a select amount of people. When this opens up and everybody gets access to it, you'll start seeing more things develop rapidly, because at the moment it's very hard for things to, like the meta to change. And again, because they're changing heroes and all of that stuff, that's going to be dynamic as the game moves forward. But just looking at it from a straight up, how can you be elitist right now? Well, it's kind of easy to be elitist, because let's go back to my beta weekend experience. When I played that, and there was a lot of new people coming into the game, it was really easy for me to play, but also extremely frustrating, because you would see people who would play Tracer, and there would be 3 Tracers on your team. Now, I don't want to preach to these guys and be like, hey, look, you need to... In fact, I never anyway when I play, but look, you don't need to go, look, we're on defense, please pick defense heroes. Now, that's not entirely true. You don't need to pick defense heroes to be on defense, but having 3 Tracers on defense or even on attack is probably not the best idea, okay? But these guys have just got access to the game, so they want to try the heroes out, and it's totally understandable that they want to do that. Hell, I do that. You know, I've done that before. I'll just go, okay, I'm going to play this one hero for the game, regardless of what's happening. People are going to do that to find out what's going on. But then this is where it gets really interesting for me. These guys leave the game after that weekend. It was Tuesday, which was the day I played after the weekend, and suddenly we were thrust. I played it with Kiri, and suddenly we were thrust into a game where everybody was using the microphones, everybody's changing out their heroes, and it was a fantastic experience. It was like, fucking hell, this is what we want. And I said to Kiri as we were playing the game, I was like, holy shit, if the game is always like this and we're with people like this, it is a fantastic game. Now, it's not going to be like that though, is it? We know games like... Oh god, I slapped my mic. We know games like League of Legends. We know the hell of solo queue. And it's probably going to be the same in Overwatch, isn't it? Let's be honest. I mean, when I played in the beta weekend, not again, just... I don't want to be like, oh, I'm hammering abuse at people because they were new players and they were all angry and whatever, and they're not elite like me. Because I'm not elite. Please do not call me Overwatch elite. There was a lot of toxicity in the chat. There would be people throwing abuse, straight up abuse at each other because they were not changing hero. I've seen people moaning again about Tracer. Don't play Tracer, we're on defense. And I'm thinking, well, actually, a Tracer can be quite good on defense. It depends what the player's doing with her. If you dive into the backline and wipe out their healers or support really quick, you apply your pulse bombs to the tanks, or you do something like that, you can be very effective. So there was toxicity like that, which is not toxicity that I've been exposed to playing the closed beta, because it is in such an environment which is controlled to a degree. People know that, well, people there are not going to be idiots. They're not going to be people throwing abuse around, being a dickhead just because they want to win the game or whatever, or telling people how to play the game. Which again comes back to the video I made the other week where I was telling people, oh, look, you're stupid. In fact, I was quoting things from websites I was reading where people were like, oh, again, going back to the Bastion thing, Bastion needs to be changed because Bastion, he's so OP, he kills the whole team, he needs his shield reducing. But actually, he's not. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this develops, because it is an interesting situation that the game's in right now, especially with people like me who have played the game quite a lot. And if I had to rank myself and say where do I think I am right now in terms of the beta, I'm probably above average in terms of my stats and all of that stuff. Again, we're going to have to see when this comes out, because once the matchmaking is the rank matchmaking is introduced, then we'll be able to see where people rank, and then there'll be no, oh, you can't just claim you're this and that. There will be actual evidence to show, oh, actually, I am in this division, so maybe what I am saying is making sense. But I really don't. But again, like, even then, I'm sounding like I'm telling you what's what, and this is what's what. I'm not, but in a way I kind of am. But it's kind of helpful advice. It's not me being a dickhead. I'm not sitting here going, well, this is how you're going to listen to me. Another little topic I wanted to cover as well, which again is about the elitism, and this is like a strange form of it. And this is, I'm elitist, but I've not played the game, really. Now, I see this a lot. You'll see people commenting on... Reddit is especially bad for this, but you see people on the forums as well, and people commenting on videos I've made and other videos other YouTubers have made and stuff like that, where they're making what appears to be comprehensive comments on heroes when they've not actually played the game. And sometimes I have to wonder where these people get off. Is that even fair? But you've got to wonder why they do that. I mean, why would somebody who's played maybe they played the closed beta stress test weekend, maybe they have some sort of idea on the game as a whole, and so they want to put that forward, and then it just ends up in this, you get this weird situation where people who have no experience with the game are arguing with people who have experience with the game. But it's very hard for people who have experience with the game to not come off as a condescending prick when they tell them you're wrong and this is why, because I play the game. Blah. It's very interesting, isn't it, guys? Well, we're going to see how this develops anyway. I guess the question at the end of this video I want to ask is, do you think I'm Overwatch Elite? Are you Overwatch Elite? Do you fall into any of the categories that I've outlined? Are you in the closed beta? Are you one of the guys who's maybe watched videos and thinks you know a lot about the game? Because you don't. But then that's me being elitist. Oh God, what is going on? Ladies and gentlemen, I thought this would be a fun video to do anyway, because it's sort of like, instead of spamming out videos on gameplay of heroes and doing the guide stuff, which, well, I say doing the guide stuff, but doing the tips and advice style videos. I may start doing actual guide videos in the future, but the tips and guide videos I'll continue. I've got some gameplay stuff lined up anyway, which I'm going to throw out. But I would like to get more, let's say, more in-depth content on Overwatch instead of just the, oh, look, it's Winston, this is a Winston gameplay clip. No, I'd like to actually talk about the game. And, in fact, actually, talking about the esports scene might be something I could go into as well, because that's starting to kick off a little bit with some minor tournaments. Obviously, it's in closed beta, so it can't really have an esports scene, let's be honest. But there are some things I think Blizzard need to kind of work on, like their spectator tour and all that stuff. And, in fact, things that I think Blizzard need to work on just in general on the game itself, which could in fact be another video. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have been Stylosa, and this has been a little discussion on elitism in Overwatch and how it is interesting seeing these different factions of players going at each other, and me as well coming off as a bit of an elitist dickhead in the last video I made, which really I didn't want to, and hopefully I didn't too much. But anyway, guys, as I say, leave a comment below. Like the video if you like the video, because that helps a shed load. And you can follow me on Twitter as well, which is @UnitLostGaming. And I would follow me on Twitter because I tell you when the stream's going to go live, because I play a lot of Overwatch on the stream and all of that good stuff. All right, guys. So I will catch you on the next one. Toodaloo.